The things people say. Why must I deal with this shit every fucking day?
Holy fuck, man, you hear this fucking dude?
I just can't believe all the things people say.
Holy fuck, man. What's he saying, right?
I deal with this shit every fucking day.
Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna crank him right fucking off right now. You know why? Because he's stealing my lines, alright? Why must I deal with this fucking shit every day? Well, I'll tell you one thing, you know. On the way over here today, there was this fucking guy, you know, and I'm like driving my car and I stop, and there was a stop sign. I don't want to, you know, mow over a little old lady or something, so I stop like everybody else is supposed to do. Whether they do it, who knows. I'm not going to hang around that particular intersection to see how many dead old ladies there are, okay? But I stopped like a good person, and I pulled over to the curb, you know, and I looked, and I shut the ignition off even, because I didn't want to get too excited and freak out and hit the accelerator and end up hitting a fucking old lady. This fucking guy, you know, there was a, what was it, a hydrant or some cement embankment, you dig? And he was bent over, you know, like this, and lifting up his fucking leg like that, and he was peeing against it, yeah? And so I'm like, why are you doing that, you know? And so then I watched the mud he had with him, this fucking dog, right? And something about dogs I'll get to it with you in a minute. Just a minute. Well, you can wait, right? Okay. But this fucking guy, apparently, from what I observed, him peeing, whatever, and the dog lifted up his leg, and he peed right after him. Oh, not after him like he was running. Oh, your master, I want to pee on you. No, the master lifted his leg, peed on this fucking embankment, okay? And the dog did that too. He lifted up his leg and peed on the embankment, okay? Wherever you plant those flowers and shit. Well, who knows? I don't know what the fuck it was. I didn't want to get too fucking close, okay? Can you blame me? Jeez. And further on, I noticed, you know, they walked a few steps, then all of a sudden, the guy bends down and starts sniffing a wall, you know, and I noticed the dog did that too. He sniffed the wall, you know. Then what happened next, and then I jammed it in the drive. I hit the accelerator very quickly, and I wasn't going to hit any old ladies because I just dodge around them. I'm a good driver, what can I say, right? And because this fucking guy, you know, he was just starting to bend around. He was on all fours, right, to bend around and sniff the dog's ass. And I didn't, that's when I had to get out of there, right? Oh, mentioning asses, oh, here, hey, you know a dog's dick, right? The little dicky thing, it's got all kind of fur all over it and that. Well, next time you look at one and there's pink on the end, well, maybe he saw you looking at him, and that's what turned him on. Who knows? Depends what you're wearing, right? But the little fucking pee-pee thing there, it always remind me of this. This here, you know, and it see that? You see that? Huh? And that's a dog's dip. Yeah, that's your dip. That's a dip. At the end, that pink part, that's a dipper, and he's going to be the clipper, right? No, but it's, can you imagine fur, though, all over your fucking dick, right? I'm going to put this down for a minute. No, the lipstick here. I'm going to have a drink, all right? Okay. Which that story, as a matter of fact, brings me back to this time when I saw a guy trying to walk his dog. This was some years earlier, and then the dog was, you know, running, he's running after him, and he was a rather large dog, so, you know, he had a big, one of those big lipstick things, I can tell you. Yeah, and a lot of fur around it too. His dipper must have really been big. But anyways, the dog was taking the fucking guy out for a walk. Yeah, big time, you know the routine. And some guys started yelling, yank him, yank him, you know, yank him. I'm like, what exactly? Yank him? Geez, you know, that part of town, who knows? Oh, here's one thing here, okay? Do you remember when you were a kid? You can't? Well, I don't know. How fucking old are you, man? Sheesh. Anyways, I remember when I was a kid, we used to unzip our zippers, you know, like that, right? And stick out our fucking dick, right? Well, it should be, because you're younger, it'd be like a dickie. It sounds like a younger type name for a dick, which one day will turn into a dick, then a prick, you know, then a cock. Yeah, one day, when you're older, right? But we used to paint our name, not paint, what the hell do you think's coming out of there, right? We used to paint our names, let a nice flow come up, you know, through your bladder, and you kind of squeeze a little bit here like that, right? And you get a nice even flow, and you can write your name like that. My name, I had to give a couple extra strokes because of the way the letters are on the T. But you should have saw these fucking women, man. Not women, but future women. Little girlies, you know. They had to bend over like this, you know, and go like this all over the place. They had to pee like that, their fucking name, and like that. Sometimes they'd sprinkle their ankle and whatnot, and you could see it crusting up. But this one fucking girl, I don't know, she must have been slow at painting her name like that. N-A-C-E-Y, Nancy, who knows. Anyways, she was so slow, okay, that a little later on, you know, we were done painting our names and all that, and went over to make out with, not make out, but make some snowmen and snow ladies. Well, we used to put, you know, snowballs on her breast. Yes. No, not on her breast. We were making a breast. It was put on her chest to make a breast. And why you want to make a breast is, well, I can think of a lot of reasons why to make a breast. But this girlie, she was sitting like that, right? And we went up to her, and she was like petrified. She's trying to squeeze. And she was crying, Mammy, Mammy, Mommy, whatever the fucking, you know, whatever you have. Mama, Mama. And we ran up to her, and we're like, we're put aback about this. And we're standing there, and we're like, apparently there was a big hunk of ice, you know, had formed because she was dragging her pussyette and her bum, everything like that, low to the ground. She was going too slow, so she froze herself into one spot. It looked like she was sitting on an iceberg. Yeah. And I had a little bit of amber to it, amberish color, you know. When the sun hit it, it looked quite attractive, I guess. If you're into sitting on ice cubes that look like pee. Oh, jeez, you know. So talking about when you were a kid, I remember when I was a kid. Well, I was just born. I just more or less popped out, you know, of the womb with the view. Yeah, womb with the view. You can actually see out the belly button when you're inside there as a kid, doing what you do as a kid in there, and you can peek out, you know, you can. And it's a womb with a view. Maybe I was fortunate. My mom had a hole in her fucking belly. I don't know. But it's about your time to be delivered, okay? A lot of grunting that goes on, isn't it? A lot of grunting. There's a lot of grunting and moaning and grunting to get the product into the womb with the view, right? Right. And a lot of grunting is absolutely essential, I guess. And they all seem to grunt when they're making the kid fly out, right? Bear down, and you hear this grunting. And you know, when I think back now, I wish I could have been a little bit more courteous of my dear old mom, okay? I could have at least, grabbed hold of something inside there. I don't know. It's kind of an empty room, but maybe grab hold of her pussy lips, and kind of spread them a little bit like that. And you do come out of the pussy, don't you? Oh, thanks. Thank goodness. I'm not going to get into any ethnic stuff right now, but I came out of a pussy. But you wish you could have stretched the muscles like that and just threw yourself out, or when you heard her grunting, But yet, you really have to be careful, though. Yeah, you really, there's grunts and there's grunts. And to me, they all sound the same. But if you weren't really listening intently to grunting, and here you are, you're the kid who wants to, well, I'm going to help Mom out. I'm going to spread the lips there and just drop myself into her world. I'm sure she appreciates it, right? So there I am. No, I wasn't there because I would have remembered something like this. But could you imagine you hear your ma grunting and that, and you're just a little wee kid like this, your eyes are opening like this, and you spread it, and you look down, ooh, that was close, She was grunting, she was constipated, yeah, and she was grunting, and could you imagine actually delivering yourself or giving her a hand, right? and falling into a toilet. Can you imagine if she didn't see you and she just flushed you away? Yeah. Talk about a quick trip down the sewer system into wherever you hold sewage. I know a few places that hold a lot of sewage, and I'm not going to be specific about the names, but you can actually walk across the water. Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, my parents used to always, talking about parents again, my parents used to always give me these gifts at Christmas. And once there was this box, I opened it up, and I said, oh, and there's screws and little wee, what's that, little wrenches, right? There's wrenches there. And screwdrivers, wrenches, a little pair of pliers, nuts, bolts, and these thin fucking metal strips. And I'm looking at it, and my parents all of a sudden look at me and they said, well, use your imagination, go erect something. Show us what you can come up with. Well, I could certainly have an answer for that now if I were to be asked by my ma to go erect something. Oh, I game when I was a kid. I used to be into the sports like everybody, okay? Well, sports, not, baseball, basketball, hockey, all that kind of shit, man. But I used to play this baseball thing, and I grabbed my stick, and the fucking bat, okay? I grabbed it, right? And I just fucking lambasted one, and went way, way out into fucking center field, big time, right? And this fucking guy, and he's like, I think I can see it. And some other players, duck, and this kid must be from this place that you're certainly going to be learning about eventually. It's called Rednecksville. This kid must have been from there, because he started, what, duck? I don't hear it clunk right on the old melon. Down he goes, right? The fucker was looking around for ducks. But we all ran up, we're concerned, this stupid little fucking ass, from wherever. Who said he could play on our team anyways? Oh, well, the umpire. The umpire, that's the guy who stands behind the catcher. And this, we call him the umpire because he used to get up really close to the catcher like this, and okay, play ball. Batter up, and so he got the nickname umpire. But we're all gathered there like that, and this was the kid of the umpire. Sheesh. And everybody, you're starting to come to. You got knocked flat cold, okay? Knocked right out. And I started picking up his teeth, you know, and putting them in my pocket. No one really saw, no. I was like, just crawling around on my hands and knees, just like that fucking dog, right? She's sniffing things, and she's... But I was collecting the teeth, yeah, because my ma, you know, my pa, you know. They used to tell me about a fairy, you know, yeah, they used to tell me about fairies. And this particular fairy brought some money for teeth, yeah. You pop a couple teeth, or a tooth, whatever the case may be, under your fucking pillow, and in the fucking morning, it's there, and not your pillow, for Christ's sakes, the money under the pillow, it was transferred over from teeth to coins, right? Right. Didn't you ever fucking put your teeth under your pillow? Fuck me. Yeah, I made, you know, a few bucks there, you know. So, you know, maybe, you know, a fucking buck for a tooth, that's not bad, you know. So I used to get all the other kids around the schoolyard, you know, if you find a tooth, if you lose a tooth, I don't want any dog teeth, because it's they won't believe it. The fairy won't really be into teeth like that. But I knew it was my mother or a pappy or father putting the fucking money in there later. But they said it was the fairy, and I said, yeah, okay. But I eventually learned, not too long ago, that actually they used to put the money there. Yeah, kind of disillusioning, really, you know. I thought there was a real good fairy out there. Yeah. But after a while, my parents, they started like, I mean, the Peter. Come on, get over here right now. Come here. That puts a little bit of different perspective these days as you get older. When your mommy or whoever yells at you, you come over here right now. And you're like, okay, where, mammy, mommy, you know, where do you want me to come? No, she said, you come over here to Peter. Now, what the hell is all this? What is going on here? I mean, open up your mouth. Why? Open up your mouth. Well, I'll open it for you. So I opened up my mouth, you know, did that routine. She looked in, you know. It reminds me of how I could have looked out of her when I was, you know, falling into her fucking, on her knees or something when I slid out. And she's looking around, you know, in my mouth, and to see how many teeth I had left. And she's like, you still have teeth in your mouth. They're not gumming it, right, to Peter, right? So you got all these teeth. How come we keep giving you tooth fairy money? What can I say? Tooth fairy money when you still have all your teeth. Yeah. She found out that I used to just, you know, collect them from the kids and whatnot, and, you know, I caught a decent profit. Yeah, got a decent profit, big time. Oh, Rednecksville. Boy, there's something for you. I remember going down this road one day, okay, just driving a car, you know, going down the street, on the highway. It was in the back country. I was looking at ducks, geese, cows, horses, lakes, ponds, whatever's around in the fucking country. And I was doing that, like I said, not too long ago, and I'm like, okay, Wally sausage, whatever. And further up, I saw another sign that said, it didn't say anything, it just stood there, and it had the printing on it that said, try our wieners. So I'm like, okay, all right. No, I'm not going to try them. So I went back to Wally, because there's nobody there at trying our wiener place. Who knows where they could be. So I went back to Wally, you know. I said, golly, Wally, what the hell is going on around here? I mean, you've got a sign right here that says Wally's Sausage, okay? Well, and further up the road from you, okay, there's this sign that says, you know, try our juicy wieners, you know. And I think, as a matter of fact, Wally, listen, I think further up than that, before I saw your place and Troy Wiener place, there was another sign. Yes, it comes to mind now. There was another side. It says, we have tender loins. So I turned to Wally and, I says, well, Wally, you got a problem around town here? There's no social functions or something? You've got to put what your desires are, or what you have up for the loan for pleasures, so to speak, hanging on signs. All the sexual innuendos, man. But anyways, I stopped at this motel. It was outside of Rednecksville. There's so much about Redneck. There's no one here from Rednecksville? Nobody? Right. I don't want to, offend. I wouldn't do that to anybody. I wouldn't offend anything. But I remember sometimes when you're on the road, you get tired and you get bored, okay? Traveling, you get bored. So to amuse myself, I got this little cassette tape and I put sound effects of sheep on it. Not sheep, a shep. No, it wouldn't be a shep, it's one sheep. What the hell do you call one sheep? A sheep. Or what do you call a bunch of them? A herd. All right, a herd of sheep. I didn't have a herd of sheep on tape, it was one sheep. Okay, and it was bang, 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 bah, 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 bah. Yeah, the voice would go down like that too. I bonused out on this sound effect tape. So I transferred the sound effect tape over to a cassette tape and looped it. and it would just be this bang and bang and bang. So I purposely I'd go into the motel operator there and says, can I have are your rooms thin here? No, I don't mean, not like a coffin, I mean the walls, are they thin? Jeez. And he looked at me, well, they're like regular walls. I was like, well, can I go check your walls out? he's like, yeah, sure, okay, knock yourself out checking the walls, right? Excuse me. Sure enough, I tap, He's standing there in the doorway looking at me as if I'm some kind of nut, Fuck. Anyways, I said, I'll take this room, this is just fine, I said, do you get a lot of people here, Do a lot of people stay over here? He says, oh yeah, matter of fact, well, you made a good time. The journey is pretty well full up this time, you see. Must be in the outskirts of Rednecksville, that little bit of fucking speech thing. Yeah, he says, they'll come here around, let me see, around 5 o'clock. It is 3 now, you made good timing. 2 hours, you wouldn't get a thing, man. You wouldn't get a thing in my motel. I don't know what he was referring to, really, when he said that. But anyways, at nighttime, I would put, indeed, there were people on each side of the room. One person here, and there was a couple over here on this side, a man and a girl. I think it was a man and a girl. Who knows? There was 2 people in there. Didn't matter who they were, be it 2 men or 2 women. There were 2 fucking people there, okay? And I would put this cassette into the player, and I'd put it up on high volume, okay? And you hear bah, bah, bah all the time, and I'd go, I'd add my own sound effects. I'd get up real close to the wall to be able to do like that. That way they'd hear it, clearly. And plus with the tape behind me, not the tape wasn't behind me. The sound effects on the fucking tape, man, you give me a hard time. So in the morning, I would leave, but also what I had with me was a little case, and it was a carrying case. It was quite a large one, a large carrying case, and I had a stuffed lamb in it, a lamb. That's the word for one sheep, is a lamb, right? Well, whatever. It was this fluffy fucking thing, and it was in the case. I was carrying it like that. And when I got back, I put it in the car, in the back seat, and I got in behind the driver's seat, just started the ignition, all that, and I could see the curtains opening up a little bit, and they were like staring at me like that. Geez, I wonder why, right? Oh, boy, oh boy. excuse me for a minute. I gotta take a sip after all that bang and stuff. Mentioning grannies, I had this granny who's 96 years old. Okay, 96. Yeah. She likes to go parking. Yeah, I take her parking. She'd say, the PD, the PD, the PD, and I'm like, yes, Grandma, what is it now? The PD, can you take me parking today? I said, okay, Grandma, okay, I was a good grandson. I was really good. You betcha. So we'd go parking. Least you can do for your granny, right? Oh, I remember this particular granny. Oh, I only had one. Well, I have two, but this is what I'm talking about, right? She used to stay at our house, right? She had her own room. And I remember standing one day there with a wiener in my hand, and it was in her crack. Yeah, it was in her crack. I was waggling it at her like that. Yeah. And did I ever hear about it that night? When my ma heard about this, she says, "You just wait till your father gets here. He's gonna give you a good lashing, He's gonna beat you up big time. He's gonna give you a left fucking hook, and he's gonna knock you down. He's gonna fucking knee you right in the fucking nut. He's gonna give you a fucking right hand hook the other side of the fucking head. He's gonna jump up and down all over your fucking ugly face. 'Cause look what you did to your fucking granny. Look, what the fuck are you doing there, shaking your wiener at it? You're supposed to, you cook the thing, put whatever you want on your wiener, and you eat it in private, You don't waggle it at your granny, especially when you take out the bun and do that at her, Sheesh. No, my mom just didn't have any sense of humor. Yeah. But, yeah, anybody here that's 96? Oh, really? No? 69? No, is there any elderly ladies here, seniors, not got any shit? Nope. Yeah. Oh, we're over there. And who's that with you? Who? Your son? How old are you? Oh, you're 75, and your son looks like he's no more than 18. Whatever. Real hot mama, right? She's a real hot grandmama. Mama. I'll talk to you later about a few things. No, I'm just kidding. But, what? This fucking guy over here, this fucking guy here, you mean to tell me you don't take your granny parking? Why not? Well, I take her parking, not her, not your granny. I take my granny parking all the time. What's so bad about that? That's why I'm grand, I guess. Gotta take her parking. I'm a good grandson. Better than you, right? You don't take your granny parking. They need a little TLC too, Fuck me. Think about it. If you're an old granny, wouldn't you like to go out parking with your grandson? It's just, yeah, we'd go parking. She'd, we'd take a blanket along, find a nice secluded private spot, nobody around. And we lay out the blanket. I take my gal along sometimes too. I take my gal. And there's my granny and my gal, and the blanket was spread out, and we all sat there, and, I sat there, and I enjoyed, they sat too. They were kind of lying down on the side. Whatever, who cares how you eat your box lunch, right? Yeah, we'd stand there and munch out on, I was mentioning sausages earlier, but not Wally's sausages. I don't think he would be invited, right? No, we didn't have one of Wally's sausages there. But it was sausages and chicken and, chicken. Right next field, there's this roadhouse there. Okay, now here's Rednecksville. They got this roadhouse here. They put them right on the middle of the damn road, for Christ's sakes. And the car went through it, and they had to make a special device that spreads it on these rails. They can separate, and the car can go through, stop, maybe order a drink or two, then leave, and they'd put it together and put the clasps on. That kind of roadhouse. They were crazy out there. But they have this little diner there, and it's called the diner. Who knows? I can't remember. Fuck me. And there's a Chinese person who went in there. I want some fried chicken. I very muchly. That's not Chinese. Well, he's part Pakistani, I guess, or Pakistanian. What do you call those people that drive on carpets? All right, Palestine. From out east that way. Yeah, and a Chinaman, right, out east. So they can, and you have a kid who talks part Chinese and part, I don't know, carpet person talk. I want fried chicken, very much. I want fried chicken, chick. I want fried chicken. He wants fried chicken. So the waiter goes back and tells the cook he wants some fried chicken, So apparently I was sitting there. I didn't really want anything to eat. I barely wanted to even pick up the cup and drink some coffee out of it. It's like this. Yeah, fried chicken. I noticed they presented before him, and there was some little, there was actual flies on it. I'm like, oh my God, there's flies. But, and the fucking Chinaman here, he just said that he ate it. He ate it. Yeah, I don't know. Heaven knows what he thought his back things were. But apparently that I learned from someone else in the diner there that the fucking cook pulled a fast one on him. No, not over his plate. He found some old, dried, crusty flies out in the windowsill. And he took some and sprinkled it on his fucking meal and his chicken, And there was some nice juicy ones too. They were just freshly caught, and they were not cotton like cotton you stick in your ears or do other things with. No, it was nice and soft and juicy. And they were also put on the plate for the China carpet person to enjoy. Rednecksville. Okay. I used to live, I would never live in Rednecksville. Fuck, do I look the type that live in a place like that? But I remember I was on the borderline, okay? There's Rednecksville, and this was the more normal side of the country side. And our houses were beside each other, unfortunately, to this one family, and well, they were right into the core of Rednecksville, so they're on the outskirts, so they had an outskirtish type of attitude. They tried to show a little bit of intelligence and brilliance, but yet, I don't know. I'm standing there one day doing whatever you do when you stand in your house or lie in your house, right? The Peter, look, the Peter, he'd be yelling. And fuck, I'm like, what? I'd go running out the house. I just about tripped over the fucking dog. Stupid things shouldn't be there anyways. You should be out peeing or something against things. Stupid thing. So I tripped over the dog. He went yelping. I run up to him. This fucking guy here, he's not really a friend. He's a neighbor. And what? The Peter, look. Look. I'm like, yeah, well, yeah. Try what? Drink it. I work hard. I drill a hole. I found water. Oh, yeah, because he was drilling for water, okay? The family was actually really, whenever you bumped into them, heaven forbid, not, but you'd see this cloud approaching you, and you're like looking, staring, and it's like a cloudy mist around the family when they're walking. When you got closer, don't I know you from where they were the flies and everything, swarms of them all around them, so he was really avid in wanting to find water to drill some. They were all dried up. They were dried up all right. So I take the glass, I'm like, yeah, honey, well, it's murky. Oh, I know it's murky, I know it's murky, he'd say. I know it's murky. It's when you drill a hole, you know, and it's all brown down there, and it churns up things, and it's murky. Oh, murky. But it is water, right? And like, it smelled a little offish to me. You know, I don't even want to touch this glass anymore. You know? You know, this fucking guy. You know what this damn guy did? He was drilling and drilling so much. He never had much of a farm area left. It looked like 1,000, 1,000, and 1,000 and 1,000s. Thousands, singular and plural, that's how many thousands of holes there were all over the fucking place. He kept drilling until this time he thought he had drilled and hit water. Well, I have to admit, being sort of a friend of his, he was a neighbor, we'd chit-chat sometimes. He'd always hunt me down some, you know. He said, what am I going to do? You know, get out of here, you silly person, you know. So we became friends, okay. And after his working so hard at getting all this under control in regards to water, I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But you know what the actual truth was, what he had drilled into? The fucker had drilled into his septic tank. Septic tank? Why do they call it a septic tank? Septic. I think it should be a shithole tank or something like that. Sheesh. Oh, in town at Rednecksville, there's this guy going camping. I guess he was headed that way. He had a camping roll with him. You know, you go camping. You have a roll. No, it's a fucking thing that cowboys used to sting over their ass, their horse's ass, and roll it out at night and sleep on it. It's like a sleeping bag. You know. Some people have slept with bags before, right? Right. He had a sleeping bag. Okay, he had some provisions in this sack sort of thing. I could see, no sausages. No, he had some provisions, and he was going camping. But he was also carrying this exhaust fan. He was carrying an exhaust fan, you know. He had this around his elbow, hanging down, you know, his bedroll. He had his other provisions hung there, and he'd be just walking like this, you know. And I walked up to him and I said, well, I guess you're going camping, right? Yeah, how's it going camping? He'd say, sounded like he had a little bit black in him. You know, how's it going camping? I rightly am going camping, you see. Nice day today, and all he'd say, nice day. I'm a-going camping. Yeah, I'm going to hit those fields and find somewhere to camp, right? But this fucking guy, you know, apparently he was so fucking deranged. He was very unnormal, okay? He wasn't normal like me. Fuck me. Apparently, because he was cooking over a campfire, the fumes, the exhausts, he'd build the fire closer to the trunk of the tree, and he'd put this fan up over, he'd nail the fan into the tree. It was exhaust fan. The guy, you know, he did, you know, I mean, how stupid can you get, right? How stupid can you get? An exhaust fan over your fire out there, you know. Christ, he's nuts. He forgot his damn extension cord, right? Fuck, man, but where are you going to plug it in even if you took extension cord? You know, some people, you know, jeez. Anyways, back to grunting, and you know, your mom, my mind is infatuated with grunting and moaning and pussies, and you know, where babies come from and where they go and what happens to them later, and then some. But could you imagine if you're just a little wee kid like that coming out and you started sneezing and sneezing and sneezing and sneezing? The doctor, you know, lifts you out or up like the whack you want on what? No, let's get serious here. Starts whacking his ass, you know, to make him breathe. That can enhance your breathing when your ass is whacked. Yeah. But, you know, can you imagine sneezing because your mammy there or mommy or whatever, it was all fur, you know, just fur all over the place, man, just hair, all kinds of hair. Christ, so much she'd have to breed it. She was my mind, braid it down her leg. No, but seriously, it's so bushy and all that, and as you're coming out as a kid, you've got all this fur to contend with, and it tickles, you know, it tickles your nose and you sneeze. Yeah. Anyways, back to Rednecksville. I don't know why I keep talking about Rednecksville. I was going down not the street, this beaten path. No, this path out in the country of Rednecksville. Nice forested area, Rednecksville. Heaven knows, but the only damn thing that's normal around there is the fucking greenery. But anyway, I never saw a stupid tree before, have you? Alright. So, I'm walking along this pathway, there's a little stream alongside, babbling brook sort of thing. No, this is a babbling stream. I guess it's louder, right? A brook will go blah, 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 blah. The stream will go blah, 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 more, you know, then a waterfall, you know, instead of the story. But I heard a bang. I'm like, holy fuck, mate. Can't be a backfire of a fucking car or something like that. Too far out in the country. I'm like, oh, all right. So I continued walking down a path, doing whatever you do when you walk down paths, for Christ's sakes. And I happened upon these two guys, and they're cursing and swearing. Excuse me for a minute before I get all dried up. And they were cursing and swearing, looking at each other, cursing and swearing. One was next to tears even, yeah. So I very apprehensively walked up like this, and I'm looking at, and they spotted me. They looked up, so I like, what's the matter, fellas? And I saw this great big brown thing beside them on the other side of the car, right? I can see it now, and I couldn't see it before because it was behind their fucking car. It wasn't their car. I thought it was a car. I thought it was a brown car. You making any sense out of this? Good, I'm glad you aren't, because I like fucking you up. No. There was this moose standing there. No, you're not. Well, he was standing, but he was on the side. You know? Well, his legs were straight out. I mean, this fucking moose got it big time right in his fucking forehead, blew the back right out. He had 2 holes. Bang, bang, didn't even have a fucking head hardly left, really. 2 big holes in it, which obviously had loosened the antlers, so they were apparently tugging on it, and it came right off the moose's lower half of his skull. Yeah. All that was left, you look at the moose, was this part and this his big jaw, you know, hanging. And the rest, top of his head was here. And the antlers were spread out like this. And I said, why are you upset? And they said, well, we have to get the moose to our truck, you know. Didn't say it like that. And they'd say, oh, we got to get this moose over there to our truck over yonder. We can't do it right now because the fucking thing was broke off. You know, I'm like, okay, settle down. Jeez, it's only, you know, why don't you take it by the tail and drag it that way then? And the stupid fucker says, well, we're not going that way. We're not going that way at all. We want to go this way. That won't work. I'm like, oh, fuck. Rednecksville. Unbelievable. And I heard this, well, I don't know whether to accept this as truth or not, but under the circumstances of the evidence placed before me in the stories of Rednecksville and what I had witnessed firsthand, this is too fucking much. Listen to this. Listen up here. Good. These two fucking guys, always two guys, they run in pairs out there in Rednecksville, were running around their car screaming, yelling, they're crying, they're very frantic, and very frantic, like this, and they're looking around, and they're like, they're trying the door, and have you got them, and if you got them, apparently they're looking for the fucking car keys. It started to rain, they're looking for the car keys, you know. I thought, well, you don't want to get wet and everything. They're fucking dry anyway. A little water would help you. So, all dried up, up here. So they're dancing around our car. Our car is going to get wet. He's going to, we got to get in and put the top down. It was a fucking convertible. All right? A fucking convertible. They lost the key and they couldn't open the door and climb in the damn thing. So, oh man, you could have just, do you believe that story? You want to get in your car, it's a convertible, you lost your keys, so you're getting very frantic because it's going to get wet inside. And all you had to do was climb over the door and get the fucking top and pull it over yourself. Talking about pulling it over on yourself, right? Jeez. Well, anyways, I have to go now. But before I go, oh, I remember this one time, my granny. Just quickly, I haven't got that much time left. This granny, my old granny, I hit her teeth. Okay, she used to always take them out at night and put them in this little, excuse me, a little glass, Not a glass like this, but she used to put them in a glass. So being a little kid, I do silly things as all kids do. You got to be a silly kid, right? Right. Okay. I snuck out her teeth. I pulled them right out. Pulled her teeth out, big time. And I went and I also put a few kernels of corn in there, white niblet corn, and looked like a few teeth were there. Later, when I saw it next day, they had expanded, and they were like gotten really large, and because they swell up. And she's somewhere you had a little, oh fuck up with the kernels, man. But I stole her teeth and was running down the stairs with them, and we had hardwood floors, and they fell and they broke. In half. Oh, jeez. So I quickly, it was dark, so I lifted, I could only get one of them, one half of her fucking plate, and I hid it under the fucking counter, under the, I don't know, counter, and fuck, I don't know, what difference does it make what kind of fucking counter it is? I put it under an end table or something like that. And the next morning, my mother and I are sitting there doing breakfast, Well, Ma, the mother's Peter. The mother's Peter. The mother's Peter. No, the mother of Peter. The mother of the Peter. The mother of the Peter. And she called her the mother of the Peter. That was my name, the Peter. And I don't know why she didn't call my mom by her fucking name. I don't know. I don't even know what it is. Oh, fucker. Anyways. Because I'd stolen her teeth and she saw these little pieces of kernel corn in her glass, and some were expanded, and I'd gotten fat, and some were just lying at the bottom. She was freaking. She thought her teeth had disintegrated or something. Who knows? My mother's thought maybe she put a little bit too much of the Polidel, or whatever, to clean your fucking teeth. Maybe she ended up putting bleach or something in it and fucking, I don't know, something that ate her teeth out, or a plate. But everybody's disintegrated her teeth with a few little kernels. God. Yes, Colonel. What shall we do? We shall defeat the teeth. No. So, my mother turns to me. I always got the blame for every damn thing that happened. I always got the blame. Well, I was the only kid in the family for a while. Yeah. But I always got the blame. I could have blamed my neighbor or one of my pals, but I got the blame. She says, where's your mother's teeth? I'm like, oh, your grandmother's teeth, not mine. Where's your mother's teeth, Peter? Not your mother, your grandmother. Well, you said grandmother. Well, you're supposed to say grandmother, but you didn't say it. You said mother. I'd say that. Where'd you put your granny's teeth? Is that what did you do? Where'd you put your granny's teeth? So I went under the dresser there, the end table, and wherever that fucking place was, they were giving me a hard time before. I reached under there and slowly took them out, and it was like my ma was put it back. And I just, it looked like I had a big lump of fur, a big fur ball in my hand, and and here's her teeth. No, it was the dust bunny stuff that was all over it. So I said, here. And my mother says, well, what's that? I said, that's Granny's teeth. That's only half of it, she'd say. Where's the other? I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Don't get Daddy to kill me. Don't get Daddy to give me the shot in the knee, and where'd you put the other half of your granny's teeth? I don't know. They fell on the ground. I didn't say fucking right. I'd say they fell on the goddamn ground, and I don't know. They fell on the steps and they broke, and I said, Mom, it's an older kid, right? Mom, I had to say, not in this kind of voice. Mom, can just tell Granny to use the half of a plate and just put less food in her mouth, like eat half her meal. Would that help? She missed me, right? Oh, my pappy there, he'd be the one to fucking do this, but she'd give a good, pretty big enough fucking, what was she, brown belt? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, she wasn't made. Sheesh. Well, I was quicker, I could duck her, right? Right. So anyways, I gotta get going soon. But anyways, later on in the year, my mother was doing some planting her vegetables. I don't know where Paul was. But she was planting vegetables. So she was digging up the soil. She screamed, she shrieked. I was, who knows, down the street, about 2 blocks down the fucking street, I heard her scream. I ran up, everybody ran up to my house. Center of attraction in my house sometimes. The cops got there, right? They put out the yellow tape around the fucking place. Yeah. I'm like, oh my. They were looking for remains of a body. Yeah, they're looking for the remains of a body. Because apparently the dog had stolen the other half of my granny's plate and buried him outside where my mother was making the garden. And when my mother was digging up the fucking soil to plant her vegetables, it was part of she thought a jaw or some teeth lying there. And it was actually my granny's fucking half of her plate because the dog had buried it, right? Well, I don't know why my mom was so concerned about it though, really. I mean, fuck, because of the cops, her whole fucking garden was dug up. Yeah. Even that year, she could have had a larger garden because they dug up the whole damn backyard. So, what the hell? Well, I gotta get going now. Oh, one last sip here. It's been a real slice out talking with you. One last thing I like to say. Usually after a show, I like to give a little bit of advice here. One little bit of advice. Advice. This sounds redneck, doesn't it? I go by that way too much, I think, sometimes. But one last thing I like to always tell people when I leave, okay, is a little hint. Now, remember, because the food bacteria is out there, they've got everything getting the flu these days, heaven knows, and sick, and we're consuming these creatures. and they have a lot of viruses in them, and they're like green. So don't even think of anything, don't think of eating anything that's green, especially if it glows at nighttime. Don't go near it. Unless it's latex. Latex, you can eat if it glows in the dark. Bye-bye for now. It's been a real fucking slice. Catch you later.